Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Sesh Cast. My name is GLDLX. This is Sesh Cast, a cannabis podcast for cannabis sessions. And I'm just cutting a quick intro because today I actually got to sit down with somebody else for a sesh for once, which is awesome. It doesn't happen very often. And typically when it does, who I'm sitting down with is far, far, far away. But today I actually had the opportunity to sit down with someone in the studio and smoke a bowl and chit-chat for a while, and that was pretty fun. So coming up next is my conversation with my buddy and roommate and college fraternity brother named Tom, who we had just been smoking together and hanging out, and I needed to record an episode, and we were already talking and had been for like an hour, and I was like, hey man, do you mind if I throw a microphone in the middle of all this and we can continue to talk and I'll put it on a podcast for later? And he said that was fine. So I don't have anything to pitch for Tom or anything like that. I don't think he's really working on any projects right now. He is a pretty talented videographer and director, but I don't think he's got any projects under works right now. So nothing to pitch for Tom, but to you, my friend, thank you very much for hanging out with me. Very much appreciate it. It was a blast talking with you today. I've always wanted Sesh Cast to be something that I can sit down with other people and be more than just me, and I hope to have a lot more of that here in the coming year as we reach the 1 year anniversary episode in 7 weeks I think. So hopefully next year we'll have more of this, but just had the opportunity today and I figured I might as well roll with it. So without further ado, my conversation with Tom about all sorts of stuff. Man, I hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Hello friends, welcome back to Sesh Cast. Today I'm hanging out with my roommate because we've been hanging out down in the studio smoking weed for an hour and talking about shit. And so I figured I would invite him onto the microphone to talk about shit. Say hello, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Yeah, well done. Today, we're using Tom's gigantic spoon. Do you know where you got this? I know we talked about it.
I got that one. I remember I got it at Comfest. I don't entirely remember what shop I got it from, though.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the local ones, because I went to Hetty's Hideout, and disappointed because all the things that they had were all really fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So I went to some other little shop instead and found that guy, and it was the colors of a fraternity, and I was like, oh hey, it matches up so perfectly. So yeah.
I know, I really like it. It's cool. It's like a green and purple swirl double blown. I like it a lot. Picture will be on my Instagram. Instagram is @SeshCast, all one word. If you want to check that out, the picture will be up as soon as the episode is. And you loaded this too. What's in your grinder right now?
That is my Gorilla Glue number 4.
So you have Gorilla Glue 4, and I put a little bit of Ogre on top of it. Yeah. So I'm gonna. Well, you should actually. This is your. You start this. While Tom is starting that bowl, we've just been hanging out talking about music and all sorts of other stuff, and figured we would just keep the conversation going and I don't know, go whatever directions we go in the next 45 minutes. And that's I was explaining to Tom, because Tom wasn't super familiar with the podcast, but the whole concept, if you've never listened to this show before, is that I like to get high and talk about stuff, and so then I just do it on a mic. And I have always wanted this show to include more people than just me. It's always been mostly a me thing, mostly because I don't have a great recording setup for other people, but I've wanted it to be more than just me. So I figured hopefully because I've been doing it for a year, in January, hopefully after January I'll be able to include more people.
Well, always more the merrier. Friends are fun. I think being able to have people to bounce ideas off of always make all of these things so much more expansive.
Right?
A, not an E, obviously.
Yeah.
It's more expensive because we're smoking more weed, but...
True story. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's one of the best parts of smoking weed is like hanging out with other people.
Because no one wants to be a lonely stoner. Come on, like, get out of your basement, go make some friends. Like, come on.
Right. Well, and that was the other big reason that I started the show. Was because I spent a lot of time hanging out alone, smoking weed in my basement. And it was never like, it wasn't always because I didn't have any friends, or like often it was just because I worked a weird schedule and like none of my other roommates at the time smoked, and so I was just hanging out alone in my room smoking. I wanted to put out like a podcast that could be like, oh, here's something that you can smoke with if you want to. Here's something you can listen to while you smoke. Because I definitely agree with you. Like, it's the best part is hanging out with people. It's way better when you're not on your own.
You can share the experience. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Because then, oh shit, I'm too high for this.
No, you're not. That's the point. The whole point is to be too high for it. That's what makes the podcast so fun. I face down like so I have a glass blunt upstairs. Have I ever shown you that?
I don't think so.
It's because it doesn't work very well, but I have a glass blunt upstairs.
So is it a glass blunt, like a long tube that looks like how you would like a tobacco wrap? Or what do you mean by blunt?
So they're called glass blunts. What they really are is like hollow glass tubes you can stuff with a bunch of weed. And then they all have some sort of mechanism you can use to like ash it. So
it's similar to like a one hitter, but it has like a filter on the end of it, or in the middle of it.
So like imagine a one hitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine instead of there being a bowl on top of your one hitter, or like a little bowl at the end of your one hitter that then like narrows down into a neck. Imagine a one hitter like tube that is stuffed the whole way full of weed.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like that, and then often, the design that I like of them has like a corkscrew on the end, and you pack it with weed, you screw the corkscrew in, and then as you smoke, you undo the corkscrew, and it pushes out the ash.
That's fucking neat.
Right? So the one I have has like a plunger in the back of it, so like you push the plunger forward as it gets burnt in the front and ashes it out. It doesn't work that well, but
I feel like it would get really gunked up, because we have a bowl like that
right?
we stole from Connor. Sorry, Connor. But you left your shit here. It happens. If you leave your smoking apparatuses around, people are gonna use it.
It's true.
That's just, you're gonna have to live with that. But this thing has like a little plunger on the bottom of it that at first I thought it was kind of ingenious, but it really just makes it really sticky, so you have to clean it out a lot more. And it's like, well, I like my shit to get resined out. This is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the plunger, like, not only does it get gunked up, it'll like compress all your weed. It's weird. It just doesn't work as well as I think you would hope it would, you know? But I did this podcast once. I had to record 3 episodes, I think. Like, I was going to be gone over vacation. It was over the summer. I was going to be gone for a couple weeks. So I pre-recorded everything, edited everything, and set it to upload. And so by the end of my last episode, I had smoked a bowl and face down an entire blunt. And I was just like, and all down here. So it was like a total hot box. I couldn't see shit. I was so high. But I did a bunch of episodes. So you can't be too high for this show. It can't happen. You won't get there. What makes you feel like you're too high?
I just feel like there's a lot of times where, that whole, what do I say after this, where it's just like, words are hard, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Is that a place you get to often, or do you feel like it's when you're pressured to talk, if you're a little high, it gets harder?
Both. I feel like there are definitely times where, if I, like, just in general, talking to people sometimes can be hard for me. Like, trying to keep a conversation going, if I don't have, like, a going off point, I'm horrible at starting a conversation. I can usually keep one going if I can get something, like, someone to get me going about a topic, or if I know what I'm trying to relate to, if I know what I'm trying to say to somebody. But there are a lot of times where, like, if I just if I want to go up to somebody and be like, "Hi, I think your face is nice." I don't know, like, is that just something you say? Like, I just feel like that's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's typically a way to start a conversation, but what, like, do you feel like weed helps or hinders your ability to talk to people?
It depends on the setting. So I like the fact that I can be social and like a lot of festivals and concerts and things like that. I've made so many different friends just because I've sat around in smoke circles and said, "Hey, you want to smoke some weed with me?" Or somebody's asked me to smoke weed with them, and we start talking about things. We start making conversation just because you're sitting in a circle. You're talking about, "Oh, hey, like, why am I giving this blunt to you? Why am I giving this joint to you? Hey, you want to smoke this bowl?" I saw somebody at my one of my first concerts I went to at Bonnaroo, my first year going. We just got off our volunteer shift and we were going to this Lucy's concert. And I looked at this guy next to me and he had a little piece in a Gatorade bottle. And I was like, oh shit, that's such a little, like, ingenious idea. Because you're not supposed to bring glass into the place because glass is bad.
Yeah.
So instead of, like, wrapping something, he just brought a little metal bowl with him and filled up his Gatorade bottle, and it was simple as that. It's like, damn, that's ingenious. And then he just looked at me. He's like, hey man, you want to hit it? It's like, fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So free weed at my first concert at Bonnaroo. It was amazing, and I saw this great funk show, and they're so much better live. Live music is just so much better a lot of the times than like listening to the recording. Just go see live music. That's the point of that.
Who'd you see?
The Floozies.
Oh, nice.
Because we saw the Floozies at like, it was like 1 o'clock, I think, and then at 2 o'clock in the morning, Grizz played. So they did a secret show at Calliope, this like little side stage at Bonnaroo, which is mostly EDM artists. So Grizz played, brought the fucking house down. I mean, it was bold.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Scoops.
But he was doing like a whole bunch of remixes of like Fresh Prince and all these 80s classics, and like at one point he did September by Earth, Wind and Fire, but did like this like funky remix of it. It was just dancing and jumping around the entire time. It was so much fun. But yeah, that was really like when I started just like smoking, like really seeing the fun and the impact of just like smoking weed with strangers at like in a combined experience, because everyone's just there like have fun and talk to each other and like talk about music.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that at concerts ever since. Usually I'm just like, hey man, like what's going on? It's really nice because I can also not get as high because I'm not just smoking a whole joint or whole blunt by myself. It's like, man, I don't need to smoke this whole fucking thing. Like, there are certain points where I will get too high to talk to people, and it's like, I want to talk to you, I want to say something, I'm in my head right now, man, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
And I definitely get there sometimes, but I also get there sober, so it's not like, I think weed is the only reason why, but I definitely think I can get too high and have that happen more often.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I think that's like, that's a great example of people often will say that weed is the easy answer for everything, and like I feel like weed gets treated as this like miracle drug where like, oh, are you anxious to talk to people? You should smoke weed. Like, do you talk too much? You should smoke weed. Like, are you depressed all the time? You should smoke weed. Are you like, it's just like everybody's answer to everything, and the reality is like it can be super helpful for a lot of those things, but it's got to be the right moderation and like the right set and setting, basically. But I definitely agree. Going to live music and sharing weed with people is a very cool come together experience, and a very, I don't know, just it's a great way to meet people and share an experience with people on a different level than just being there at the same time, like I was at this random is a postmodern jukebox show. They had just come through some park somewhere. I don't even remember where this was.
I've always wanted to see them live. It just felt like it'd be a fun show to go to.
Yeah, it was like it was really cool. It was really fun. I had made no plans to see them. I just found out like that day that whatever area, God, I don't remember where that was. I don't know, but we were hanging out somewhere, and we were at like a park, and they were like, "Oh, Postmodern Jukebox is playing here tonight." We are like, "Oh, well, I guess we'll be here until tonight then, because that sounds cool." And yeah, like just some random dude, like he was definitely smoking because I definitely kept smelling it, and I was like looking around because I didn't plan on being there for a concert. So I didn't bring any weed. I was just like looking around, and he saw me looking around every time he took a hit, and so he came up and offered me weed, and I was like, this is the best. I'm glad that this connection happened. I'm glad. And then he was weird and like wouldn't leave, and then I was like, ooh, I wish I hadn't smoked weed with you. But most of the time, it's a great example and doesn't end in a weird story like that. Like I've definitely been gifted free joints and pits for shows and stuff. It's like, or people who like have a roach and they're like, I don't really want to hit this anymore. Do you? I was like, yes, I'll burn down your roach for you. I didn't bring weed with me into this mob of 20,000 people. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool way to share an experience for sure. But I do think it's interesting to point out that like weed can be super helpful for making it easier to talk to people, but it can also take you way too far. Like the last time that I was too high to like talk to anybody was not a favorable experience. I don't know if you have had one of those experiences recently, but it was not my favorite.
I haven't really had anything that's been like, I feel like I can't like handle a situation. I just feel like there are times where I can't offer as much as I want to.
Yeah.
And that's something that bugs me. And I feel like it's something that gives me a lot of struggles. It's like, am I having these problems because that's just I'm having problems, or because I'm stoned?
Yeah.
And I feel like there are times where it's both, but there are times where it's just because life's hard.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to figure out what's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I feel like I've been seeing a lot about this on the internet lately. I think that with everybody starting to legalize, I've been seeing a lot of people saying like basically that weed is the cure-all for everything. Weed is like the plant version of ibuprofen or Robitussin or a Band-Aid, where like no matter what your problem is, smoking weed will fix it. And I feel like I've been seeing a lot of that attitude, and so I've also been seeing
throw cannabis oil on it, that'll work.
Right, yeah. So I've also been seeing a lot of like people who do smoke a lot, or other medical patients who have said like, no, it isn't, and don't encourage people, like don't tell everybody that smoking weed is the ultimate answer.
I just feel like those are the stupid people that latch onto everything and try. Because you're gonna find that with everything. It's not like weed's the only product like that out there that's gonna have people that say it's a miracle drug. This is gonna be the thing that cures cancer. This is gonna thing that brightens your mood and makes you feel better all of the time. Yeah, weed helps sometimes. Weed helps for a lot of people in a lot of ways. But that doesn't always mean it's going to help you and make you feel better for everything that like ails you in life.
Yeah.
If you have problems because you're broke all the time, I mean, yeah, weed's gonna make you like feel happy, but you're also gonna feel that little tick back there that's like, fuck, man, like I don't have any money and I'm stoned right now. Like, right. Your problem isn't going away, but yeah, you're happy and you're gonna think about it as much. So yeah. I guess that's nice.
Yeah, and I feel like weed is something that can definitely help with a lot of things, but is also really easy to use as a cover-up for your problems, like exactly like that, where it's like, if your problems center around the fact that you're broke, smoking weed might make you feel like you don't have problems, but it absolutely does not solve your problems. I feel like it's so easy to like smoke yourself into that point, where you smoke yourself into like I was maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago at this point, was sort of at this point where like I was smoking my time away. Like I was always stressed out because I didn't have time to do shit, but in reality I was spending like an hour and a half a day smoking and then 2 hours being high and not being super productive. And I was smoking to like calm my nerves about the fact that I didn't have time for anything, but I didn't have time for anything because I was smoking all the time. And so it like really forced me to like change the way that I consume, and it's definitely been a huge beneficial change. But I feel like it's definitely one of those things that it's super easy to use as a cloak for your problems.
Oh, you did follow Catch-22 for sure, where it's just like you're in this constant struggle of, what should I smoke another bowl to like help like power through this real quick, or should I just like let it go, take a nap, and then wake up and like go at it again? Then you wake up, it's like, oh, I'm kind of drowsy. It's like, do I eat some food, maybe smoke a bowl, bring myself up a little bit, and then you're good for like another 20 minutes, and it's like, oh damn, yeah, I'm kind of high. Fuck. Well, food sounds good. Do you have any snacks? Oreos? Oreos are nice. Ooh, Oreos. So I eat some like 3 more Oreos, and then I go to bed and I got on YouTube for like an hour. Then I'm watching like I don't know, Cinefix or some other film thing that I usually go on to, or something that I think is productive, and then I'm like, oh, an hour went by. What was I trying to do again? Oh yeah, let's go to the kitchen real quick. Oh hey, I have Oreos. Cool, let's eat some of those.
Yeah.
And it's just a loop, and it's a pain in the ass. I've definitely been there.
Yeah, it's definitely, the vicious cycle is real, and it's, I don't know, weed chills out my anxiety so much, and it helps with my depression so much, and it's so great for all these things, but I sometimes feel like I walk a very fine edge with smoking weed, where it's can be super, super helpful for me in a lot of ways, but it's super easy to push myself over the, like, I've gone too far and things are not great in my life. And I don't know, it seems so easy to say, oh, well, I'll smoke this and then go and do all of those things and then smoke and then just never really get around to doing all of those things, or those things taking astronomically longer than they would have if you weren't high. And so I've really tried hard to shift my focus from I'm going to smoke this and then do these things to I'm going to do these things and then I can smoke that. And that like risk reward is the wrong phrase, but like I guess the positive reinforcement as opposed to the I don't know what the word for smoking weed before you do shit is, but yeah.
Procrastination?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the desire to smoke to make doing things seem better, like more entertaining or less menial, or make them worth doing, or just make them easier to do is great for some things, but then like you pack a bowl too big. Yeah. Start doing it forever, you pack a bowl too big, or you just get a little bit too high, and then you take a nap, and then after the nap you don't have enough time to do something, and it's like a very fine line to walk, that I don't know if people who don't smoke all the time, or people who are saying like, oh, weed's the perfect answer for everything. It's like it is a drug after all, and it is definitely you gotta be functional, and you can't lose your functionality to your desire to be high, which I feel like a lot of people do.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of times where I struggle with what do I really want to do.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll smoke a bowl, and then that's just all I'll think about, like, what do I want to do? And then I won't do anything. I'll just, like, sit there and think about what I want to do for a fucking hour. And having, like, a cell phone and a laptop and YouTube and all of these millions of distractions where I'm reading about all these political things going on all over the world, where the Earth's fucked, the Arctic's fucked, people are killing one another, and it's like all this shit's happening. It's like I don't know what to do about it, and then I smoke a bowl and I try and think about it more. It's like, oh, what should my next step be? It's like, I really don't know. Fuck. I don't know. Maybe I'll make some food. That'll work. Oh, that's a short-term problem, right? Sure, let's do that. And then none of my problems are solved.
Yeah, it's definitely the climate of the world right now is definitely a downer and a hindrance to my ability to function, for sure. Like, I 100% agree with you there. Where, like, I get so caught up and distracted by the news. We were just talking before I turned the mic on of, like, the stupid news alerts that my phone sends me. I get, like, a news alert every hour. And the reality is news doesn't happen every hour. Like, I don't need an update on the one I got before this. I wish there was a way for me to, like, pull it back up, but there's definitely not. That, like, something George Bush's sock guy paid respects to George Bush after his passing or something like that. We're like, I don't need to know. I don't care. Like, I got an update about the riots in France over the weekend, and, like, that was a worthwhile news update. But George Bush's sock guy is not. That's not news. That's human interest, and it's a very low level of human interest, and that's, like, a niche audience that I'm not a part of. Please don't tell me I don't care.
I understand crazy sock people, but I think even then they won't. They're not gonna look at that and be like, "Oh man, this is the guy I want to hear from about, like, George Bush's death."
Right? Yeah. Now I can finally process this emotional time. Like, I just don't know. I don't know why we have decided that news has to happen every single minute. Like, you have to be updated on something all the time, and that something always has to be new and important. And that's where we get into this crazy, like, the fake news and exploding these huge exaggerations about actual happenings into virality just because, like, well, we need something new to talk about. It's been 15 minutes, and we don't.
Well, a lot of problems that came through that was from Fox News, but then the way that a lot of mainstream liberal, like, media outlets just did not know how to handle it, and since then they've called everything breaking news because they think everything's breaking news. It's kind of true in the fact that, like, all of these things in any typical like regime would be huge fucking deals, like all these big ass scandals that are going on. But because the way people perceive it and the way they've been going about it, how everything's breaking news, it feels like everything's the next step to try and get Trump, like, impeached. And, like, a lot of media outlets are really struggling and trying to figure out how to approach that idea where, they're overemphasizing everything and underemphasizing things that are really fucking important. Like, all these, like, environmental disasters going around the world. Like, come on, climate change, you motherfuckers. Like, this is something that's really, really important. Or the, like, wealth inequality going on in so many different places. Like, people aren't focusing on these things because of stupid bullshit.
Well, as much as I love to shit on Fox News, and I will at any opportunity I have, I think the issue goes back way farther than Fox News. Like, Fox News was not the first 24-hour news channel. CNN was. And the reality is that we never needed 24-hour news. The 24-hour news cycle is not something that needed to exist.
I will not defend CNN, so I'm not going to ride that train, trust me.
Yeah.
I do follow Brian Stelter and Jake Tapper on Twitter. They do, like, funny things sometimes. So that's nice, and trying to stay up to date on what's going on with all them. But you gotta take every news outlet, like, with a grain of salt. And the problem is that you can only taste so much salt before it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And that's what happens with CNN, is that, they gave you so many stories and so much thing was going on that you just couldn't take them seriously anymore. And because no one took them seriously anymore and someone easily preyed on that, hint, hint, wink, wink, it was a lot, it made it easier for them to really discredit the fact that it's like, oh, it can't be breaking news. If you call this breaking news, if you're on all the time calling everything breaking news, like, what actually matters. So it was a really easy strategy to do it because, like, CNN kind of screwed themselves.
Yeah, and, I won't defend any 24-hour cable news network because I don't think needs to be reality. I think that we have created this false reality You know, like this is, I think, a very real thing that a lot of people are dealing with. And just like you were saying, where like you you struggle to figure out what the next thing to do is because of how crazy the problems of the world are. Like we have taken our own individual experiences and blown it up to be this like huge thing where you have to be plugged in all the time because you have to know everything that's going on around the world
It fucking
at every minute.
sucks.
Yeah, and like we've created this this situation that we all live in, and it was created way back on June 1st of 1980 when CNN launched, which I know because I just looked up. I swear to God, I didn't like Trivial Pursuit that fact out of my ass. But like that was when 24-hour news started, and suddenly it was possible to know what was going on at every minute of the day. Because before that, it wasn't. Like, there was no internet. You got the paper once a day. News was on at like 5, 5, and 11, or, you know, 6, 5, and 11, whenever your news aired. I don't remember. I wasn't alive in 1979. And you heard what you did on the radio, but the radio existed for so many other things as opposed to just news. And it wasn't a culture or a society where we could get information all the time. And when you have to fill up a 24-hour news cycle with the exact same world and reality as was happening when we were only getting news 3 times a day, you got to find something to fill your other 20 hours, because we were filling 4 hours of airtime or 6 hours of airtime with what was happening in the world. And suddenly we decided to expand what was happening in the world to 24 hours a day. And so we've just made these like random ass bullshit things important. We have taught people that there is something happening at every minute and you always have to be up to date. And I think it all goes back to, I feel like everything goes back to people's bullshit desire to get rich and make money. But cable news is just feeding us whatever they can to fill a 24-hour news cycle, and most of it just isn't important.
I mean, just look at the profits that CNN made after Trump got elected. Like, during the whole election cycle, they got so much more media coverage and so much more viewership just because everyone wanted to see what was going on with Donald Trump. Like, because they wanted to see what was the next thing he was going to say. What was the next thing that he was going to bash about CNN? What was the next meme of him, like, punching their face that he was going to, like, share on Twitter? All this bullshit just gobbled, like, everyone ate it up. And that's such a huge problem of what's going on, is that people look at the buzzy headlines and the buzzy keywords, but they don't look deep down under what's really going on here. Like, people are fucking debating about, like, whether or not it's okay for somebody to fuck a porn star. It's like, no, that's not the debate here. It's like, the debate is whether or not you think it's okay for a man to fuck a porn star after his wife just gave birth to their kid. Like, that's the moral argument here. Like, are you defending that here? Like, I don't care whether he fucked a porn star. I care that he cheated on his wife. Like, let's make the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just feel like we have really developed this world where they are telling us, big they are telling little us, that everything that happens at every minute of the day is important. And so we need to obsess over it all the time. But us obsessing over what is happening all the time is just making them rich. Like, and that's this whole income inequality and like wage gap and all that stuff. Like, the difference between the rich and the poor in America, and like the rich get richer while the poor get poorer, is so real, and B, just so drastic. Like you said, CNN, the quote unquote opposition to the whole Trump election, has made maybe more money off the Trump election than anybody, because their coverage has been nonstop and their viewership has increased dramatically.
I think there are a lot of, like, corporations that have ties to Donald Trump that have probably made more money than CNN has. Especially now that, like, it's been 2 years in and everyone fucking hates CNN on both sides. But Yeah, I agree with you. CNN still fucking sucks.
Yeah, like everybody is making money off this deal except for your common everyday person, and that's the real problem for me. Like that's the biggest issue with American politics for me is that like American politicians should not be taking the job to get rich. They should be taking the job to take care of the smaller people, and that's just not the reality anymore. And
No, you've can figure that out by Fox's statement about how they feel about Ocasio-Cortez. Like they made fun of her for not being able to afford an apartment in D.C. until like her payment came in, like her paycheck started coming in because she just couldn't afford it, and they were making fun of her for that. And then later on, when she wore something nice, they made fun of her for wearing something nice. It's like there's no way she can win. You know, it's like fuck her for trying to like impress at her nice job, but you know she can't fucking afford anything else. Like what the this is all a game and it's all bullshit
mm-hmm.
and it's all about making money. And that's the thing that really annoys me is that people aren't worrying about the things that are actual issues where we actually wanted to come together and try and fix things because we have to worry about whether or not people are trying to like fuck porn stars. Like come on.
Yeah, and like I think that you and I were both journalism majors, and you and I both know that real journalism is not what's going on at the consumer level of
Absolutely
cable
not.
news. You know, like there is real journalism happening. It's out there, and it's happening at Fox, it's happening at CNN, it's happening at MSNBC, it's happening at all these places, but it's not at the consumer level. It's at the intro level, like the very base level, and then they're taking it and spinning it as far away as they can from the truth to still call it journalistic. And that's not what it is. But the real journalists, like local news journalism and newspaper, like local newspaper journalism, obviously there are biases everywhere, but real journalism is not what's happening at the consumer level. And people are saying like, oh, we need to protect the rights of journalism, and you know we need to like journalists need to step up and do like fight back for Trump.
Who's gonna pay for it?
And like people well yeah, but like journalists are, that's like what most journalists are doing. But these consumer level people, these TV stars on cable news network, they're not journalists. Like the ones out there asking the questions to Trump, yeah, those are journalists. The ones who are actually making reports on this stuff, yeah, but your cable news network TV stars,
the amount of cable news companies that are owned by major corporations is staggering because it's mainly like three corporations that own like a bajillion% of all of the broadcasting companies, like television broadcasting companies around the country. And Sinclair is one of the main ones, and they're the ones that release that phony ass like statement that
Yeah.
made all of their broadcasters read on the teleprompter. It was just like this bullshit about how they know there are fake news things out there. It's basically a script to play in Trump's playbook.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a I don't want to call it propaganda because it feels like a strong word that is but it's getting close, man.
Dude, I don't think it's a strong word at all. I think it's propaganda. It's 100% what that is. Like I am 100%. I'm with you. Like Sinclair, for anyone who may not be aware, if you ever saw that compilation video on Facebook or YouTube of like
media is brainwashing everyone through TV.
Yeah, like 25-ish different news channels all reading word for word.
I think it was more than that. I think it was like closer to 50.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that many did, but I think the main video that went around switched between like 25 or so of them. But the bunch of news networks all reading word for word the exact same script at the exact same time. Like that's what I mean about like the level of journalism that we're seeing. Like what we're seeing at the consumer level is not true journalism, because that is you being fed your lines by your boss, And what's really scary about that, as someone who's in radio and in effectively that, in a sense, journalism role, it's hard when you are, as a local news person, tasked with this. Do you read the script or do you lose your job and maybe not ever be able to get another job because you, like, it just puts you as the broadcaster in a really terrifying situation of, do I go against my own ethics and read this? Because that was not at that level. That was at the highest of high levels. That came down from your boss's 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 boss, and they said, you have to read
top.
that.
It wasn't like, it was a local thing where they were trying to be, like, partisan. It was, like, a statement that came down from, like you said, like, the top.
Yeah.
That, you really, when so little people hold so much power, they're going to abuse it. And everyone wants to talk about that, and everyone wants to talk about it relating to the government. But it's like, how do you not realize how many, like, how giving CEOs like, Rupert Murdoch or Jeff Bezos all of this power isn't a good idea. Like, how does that make sense to anybody? Like, I understand that you want to talk about how hard they work. I understand that. That's not the problem I have. I don't have a problem with people that make like $10 million. I don't have people, honestly, make $50 million. I still think it's bullshit, but I have a problem with the fact that Jeff Bezos made like fucking $80 billion last year. Do you know the amount of things we could do with that money? Like, it's insane. It's astronomically, like, insane how much more we could do for everybody, if everyone paid for their taxes. Did you pay taxes last year? Congratulations, you pay more in taxes than Amazon did.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem. Like, I am a firm believer that money is the root of all evil, man. Like, I truly believe that the money has caused so many
Fallout barter and cap system.
Yeah, like so many things that, like, my God, the biggest issue that I don't think people really realize is these people who are making billions of dollars a year, even millions of dollars a year, are making more money than they will ever be able to put back into the economy. Like, that is effectively us losing money and it going nowhere. That money will never re-enter general economy because it's not physically possible to spend that much money.
That's the thing. When you give money to poor people, you know what they do? They spend it. They give it back to the economy. They buy groceries. They buy goods. They buy products. And for so long, capitalism realized that. That's why, like, the CEOs of top companies didn't make, like, fucking bajillion dollars a year because they actually fucking paid their taxes. But it wasn't a big deal because they still lived a comfortable life, and everyone else down, like, beneath them lived comfortable lives too. But that's not how everything works anymore, because a lot of those jobs are just gone because they don't need it anymore, because how everything's been, like, modernized and, centralized on computers. And it's just really sad to see how a lot of people are just getting fucked because their job's gone and their security's gone and their benefits are gone. They're working longer hours for less pay, and they have to be more experienced to get, like, even a shot at getting the job.
And it's more of that shit that was ruined in the 80s, like, if you at this point have not realized that trickle-down economics doesn't work, I don't know what else I can say to you. Like, I don't know what else I need to show you to prove to you that that didn't work and was a bad idea. Like, you give so much money to the rich that they're not able to spend it all. Like, maybe Jeff Bezos is a good person. I don't believe that he is, but, like, maybe he's a good guy. Even if he was the best guy on the planet, it's physically impossible for him to spend $80 billion in 365 days.
Just do a quick Google search about all of the ways, like, how that money transitions to, like, buying things, basically. Like, how much money that actually is. Like, the amount of money he needs to function and live comfortably and do all the things he does, like, isn't even, like, basically a small percentage of what he actually needs.
So here's a thing that I want to do. Let's see. He made approximately $40 billion. His net worth increased by about $40 million last year. So let's pull up a calculator here, shall we? Alrighty. Here we go. 40, 1, 2, 3 is 1,000. 1, 2, 3 is 1,000,000. 1, 2, 3 is 1,000,000,000. $40 billion divided by 365. Oh,
$40 billion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that comes down to about $109.5 million a day. So if we divide that by 24, that is about $4 million. Well, $4.5 million per hour. Divide that. Whoops, not negate. Oh crap! Hold on, I clicked the wrong button. I don't have a real calculator. It's my fault.
You're about to divide it by 60?
Yeah. What did I say? 4.5? Yeah, let's just do 4.5 million. Jeez, this computer calculator is really killing me. 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 divided by 60 equals $75,000 you would have to spend every minute. Divided again by 60 is $1,250 spent every second of every day of the year to spend $40 million. To divide that one step further, today I had lunch at Taco Bell. My Taco Bell total was $7.97, I think, which is 156.838 of my Taco Bell meals, which was a 4-pack of rolled chicken tacos, a cheesy bean and rice burrito, and a Chipotle chicken griller. And that filled me up. So you can fill one slightly overweight, middle-class stoner dude up. You have to fill up 156 of us at Taco Bell every second of every minute of every hour of every day for 365 days to spend $40 million.
And that's only if Amazon's the only one paying for it.
Yeah.
Think about the amount of companies and the amount of places, the amount of people that would be bringing it in, the amount of fat guys we could feed at Taco Bell if we just had companies pay their taxes.
Yeah, so I don't know, imagine how many poor people you could feed, or how many houses you could buy, or how many good things you can do other than feed fat white kids Taco Bell. Holy shit. And people still think that the answer is to make the rich richer,
Because if you just work hard enough, you could be the inventor of Facebook and catch lightning in a bottle. Be one of 3 of the most important people in the world and have no idea what to do with it.
It's just a mess, and it's not possible. It's not real, and it's a real thing. And that's pretty much how you do a podcast. That's pretty much that.
Cool.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Anytime.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Alright, and that's pretty much it for my conversation with my buddy Tom. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate it. If you want more of the show, feel free to check it out on Instagram at Sesh Cast. I'll have a picture of the absolutely gigantic spoon pipe that we use today. It does belong to Tom. We talked about it a little bit back in that episode. So I don't know artist or anything like that, but the thing is gigantic, and it was cool. So I'll have a picture of that up on the Instagram. New episode out next Thursday, as there is every Thursday. Feel free to check out the website as well, sashcast.libsyn.com, for more, I don't know, random little tidbits in the show notes if you don't read those already on your podcast app. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got as far as logistics go. This was a different episode, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, hopefully more stuff like this next year. If you did enjoy this, let me know. If you didn't enjoy this, please let me know that too. I don't want to continue to do something if everybody hates it. So I'm going to go, though, because I'm at work and just recording this so that I can edit this together real quick and go back to work. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Have a great day. I'll see you next week. And as always, excuse me. As always, my name is GLDLX. This has been Sesh Cast. Thank you so much for listening.